Today, we're going to talk about a virus that literally changed the world. It's a story filled with fear and loss for sure, but it's also a story of incredible scientific breakthroughs and just amazing human resilience. So let's break down the story of HIV and AIDS and how we went from a terrifying mystery to a manageable condition.
Okay, so right off the bat, let's clear something up that trips a lot of people up. We hear the terms HIV and AIDS all the time, sometimes used as if they're the same thing. They're not. They are fundamentally different. So what is the real distinction? And this slide lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus. Think of HIV as the actual intruder, the virus that gets in and attacks your body's defense system. On the other side is AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This isn't the virus. It's the name for the final, most severe stage of the infection, but only if it goes untreated. So long story short, HIV is the cause and AIDS is the potential consequence.
Now, to really get why this story is so important, you have to understand the sheer scale of it all. I mean, since it was first really identified back in 1981, it has exploded into a true global pandemic, touching just about every corner of the world.
As of right now, we're looking at an estimated 40.8 million people living with HIV. Just to put that number into perspective for you, that's more than the entire population of a country like Canada. It's just a staggering number that really drives home the global reach of this virus. And don't for a second think this is all in the past. Just in the last year, there were 1.3 million new infections. That number is a really powerful reminder that this pandemic is still very, very active, and the fight to prevent it is as urgent today as it's ever been.
But here's where the story takes a really hopeful turn. 77%. That's the percentage of people with HIV who now have access to life-saving treatment. Honestly, this number represents one of the greatest public health victories of our time. It's a story of amazing progress, but it also shows us exactly where the challenge is, reaching that last 23%. Okay, so we get the scale of it, but how does the virus actually move from one person to another? Understanding how it's transmitted is absolutely the first step to stopping it in its tracks. When you boil it all down, it really comes down to three main routes. The most common by far is sexual contact through certain bodily fluids. The second way is through direct blood contact. These days, that's primarily from sharing contaminated needles. And the third is from a mother to her child, either during pregnancy, birth, or breastfeeding. But, and this is so important, only if the mother's HIV is not being treated. Now, just as important as knowing how it spreads is knowing how it doesn't. So much unnecessary fear and stigma have been fueled by myths. So let's be absolutely crystal clear. You cannot get HIV from hugging or shaking hands. You can't get it from a kiss, from sharing a fork, from a toilet seat, or from a mosquito bite. The virus is actually really fragile and just can't survive for long outside the human body. All right, so what happens if the virus does get inside the body? Well, it's not an immediate hostile takeover. If left untreated, an HIV infection moves through 4 pretty distinct stages, and this whole process can take many, many years. Before we jump into those stages, you have to understand the virus's one and only target. Think of your immune system like an army. The CD4 cells, they're the generals. They're the ones calling the shots, organizing the entire defense. Well, HIV is like a specialized hijacker that has one mission: find and destroy those generals. By taking them out, it just dismantles our body's entire ability to fight back. So this right here, this is basically the roadmap of an untreated infection. It all kicks off with stage 1, the initial infection. After that comes a really long silent period, stage 2, that can last for years. Then you hit stage 3, where the immune system starts to really show the damage. And finally, after about 7 to 10 years on average without treatment, it can progress to that final stage, AIDS. Let's break that down a bit. In stage 1, about half the people might get what feels like a bad flu. Then comes stage 2, the longest phase, where you feel totally fine. No symptoms at all, but behind the scenes, the virus is quietly making copies of itself. By stage 3, the immune system is getting weak, and you start seeing symptoms like weight loss and fevers. Finally, in stage 4, or AIDS, the CD4 count is critically low. The generals are gone. This leaves the body wide open to what are called opportunistic infections, illnesses that a healthy body would just brush off without a problem. But, and this is probably the most important but in this whole story, that is the journey of an untreated infection. This is where science completely rewrote the script. We figured out how to find the virus, and more importantly, how to fight back. The absolute game changer is a class of drugs called antiretroviral therapy, or ARVs. You see, HIV is a sneaky type of virus called a retrovirus, which is really good at hijacking our cells. These drugs are designed to stop that process dead in its tracks. Their job is simple but brilliant. They block the virus from making more copies of itself. This gives the immune system, our army of CD4 cells, the breathing room it needs to rebuild.
And what's really fascinating is the strategy. We don't just use one drug. The treatment is a cocktail of at least 3 different medicines. Why? Because HIV is a master of disguise. It mutates so fast it can easily learn to resist a single drug. By hitting it from 3 different angles all at once, we basically block all its escape routes. The goal is to get the amount of virus in the blood, the viral load, so low that it becomes undetectable. And when that happens, the immune system recovers and a person can live a long, healthy life.
So, the treatments are amazing, no doubt about it. But you know what's even better? Stopping the infection from ever happening in the first place. And when it comes to prevention, the story of HIV includes some of the most stunning breakthroughs in modern medicine. And if you want to see a genuine medical miracle, look no further than this. Without any treatment, an HIV-positive mother has up to a 45% chance of passing the virus to her baby. But with ARV treatment, that risk plummets to less than 2%, and often it's even below 1%. This one single intervention has basically wiped out mother-to-child transmission in many parts of the world. It is a monumental achievement. So when you put it all together, prevention really stands on these key pillars. It all starts with screening, regular testing so people know their status. It means promoting safe sex. It means making sure the blood supply is safe and equipment is sterile. And like we just saw, ARV treatment itself is one of our most powerful prevention tools. Why? Because when the virus is undetectable, it's untransmittable. Every single one of these pillars is essential. And that really brings us to the big question today, doesn't it? We have the science, we have the tools to stop transmission and to let people with HIV live long, healthy lives. The science has done its job. So the final challenge, it isn't really a scientific one anymore. It's a human one. What is it going to take to make sure that everyone, everywhere, has access to these tools so we can finally bring this pandemic to an end?